This is Two Idiots, One Podcast, and I'm Bailey.
And I'm Taylor.
And before we start today, I just want to talk about...
Whoa, hold on. What are you talking about? This is my thing. This is my bit.
No, I think today I'm going to talk about it because I've had an extraordinary bit of bad luck recently.
Okay, well, since you've had an extraordinary bit of bad luck, as you say, I'll allow it this one time. Just don't make it a consistent thing, okay?
It certainly will not become a habit.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
So, all of my bad luck started very recently. I was driving down the road and my car decided to die. And the repairs are going to be very expensive. Luckily, insurance is covering most of it.
Okay, I think they need a little bit more context on that one because it didn't just decide to die.
So I hit like a deep pothole, but I didn't hit anything else. It was just like a super deep pothole. And it did a bunch of undercarriage damage to my car, but there's no external damage. And it's going to cost a lot of money, but insurance is likely going to cover most of it. But that was the first phase of bad luck. And then I'm trying to hang out, do my thing at the house, and it's exceptionally hot because our air conditioner stopped working. So that's bad luck number 2.
All right.
And then the third phase of bad luck is immediately after our
Air conditioner goes out.
Stopped working. Our sink stopped working, so now we're having to do dishes in the bathtub.
So when you do your dishes in the bathtub, how do you do your dishes?
Well, basically what I do is I sud myself up, and then I go and I lay on the shower floor with the shower water running, and I call one of my roommates in and I have them pour the dirty dishes on me, and I just rub them all over my lathery body to get them nice and clean.
Okay, so see, I had the exact same thought, just slightly different. I thought you would have had them in a tub or whatever, and you would just reach in and lather yourself with the soap and then just start scrubbing up and down your chest and then maybe on your back, maybe under your armpits, just to really get them in there and get them clean and then put them in the clean bucket.
Exactly. I mean, that would be an effective method. It's basically the same thing, only I'm lying down and they're all already on top of me, so they're kind of soaking in my...
Yeah, but my way was a lot sexier and doesn't really sound like bad luck. Sounds like good luck.
I mean, that's fair.
Well, maybe bad luck for you, good luck for me, wink, wink.
But I've discovered the source of all of my bad luck.
What is it?
Apparently, it's Friday the 13th.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Totally forgot about that.
But it's not just any Friday the 13th.
No, it's Friday the 13th, part 3D.
Well, I mean, technically, it's just part 3, directed by Stephen Miner, and the screenplay was by Martin Kitrosser and Carol Watson.
But this movie was in 3D.
It was in 3D.
Okay.
But it's not called 3D. It's just called Friday the 13th, part 3.
D. I'm always going to add the D on it.
There's no D.
But it's in 3D.
It is in 3D.
Makes a huge deal about it.
Right, but when you toss that D in there, bro, it kind of changes the formula.
Maybe?
No, it definitely does, because the way they shot so many of the kills were way different than previous movies, because the D changed the formula.
I mean, did it change it in a good way, though?
I think so.
I don't think so.
Well, speaking of what we think, my personal score for this movie was a 4 out of 5 on the Roger Ebert scale.
And mine on the Roger Ebert scale was a 1 out of 5 stars.
That seems a little unreasonable.
Well, so you think that's unreasonable, and then when you go to rogerebert.com and find the article that he wrote about it, and you realize that he gave it a half of a star.
That seems even more really unreasonable.
That seems super unreasonable compared to mine. I had the decency to give it a 1. He didn't even give it a full star.
Okay, so how would you summarize this movie from the perspective of a 1-star review?
So I would sum this up in a few sentences. I'll give you 5-sentence paragraph, okay?
Okay.
Kids that may or may not be in high school and or college.
Well, Rick seemed like an adult.
We'll talk about that later. This whole segment is Rick. Oh, it's going to be the Rick segment. A cabin. Jason Voorhees. Everyone dies except for one person. Roll credits.
I mean, that's a pretty good summary of the movie.
Oh, and then horny teenagers, because you know you have to have those in there.
Exactly, and of course marijuana.
Horny marijuana. Yes. That
I don't know if the marijuana itself was horny.
Well, it no, we'll get to that. I don't want to jump because there was a really funny bit with that one.
Okay.
So, after my summary, what would you like to talk about with it? Because I think we should focus on the kills because there's not very much of a plot.
Exactly. Because this follows typical slasher formula, um, other than, there are some elevated slashers, but a majority of slashers, this follows their formula where plot is irrelevant. And the only thing we care about is how cool the killer looks and the kills.
So this is obviously pre-Scream.
Yeah.
That was where it kind of changed and you could respect it a little bit more.
Well, I mean, that's when a new version of slashers started becoming relevant, self-aware.
Right. Okay, that's fair.
Which this is pre-self-aware slashers.
Yeah, this is also 3D.
Yeah, which was way ahead of its time.
That is one of the reasons why I gave it a 1 is because 3D.
So I personally think that the 3D was really good. Like, not necessarily the 3D itself, because obviously the technology now allows us to make much more realistic 3D.
Yeah, instead of the pole coming out, and don't even get me started on the yo-yo.
But the point is, it still looks really good for the time. Like,
okay.
Imagine, like, this was most people of that era's first 3D movie, I would imagine. Definitely
Right.
first 3D horror movie.
Yes, I can agree with that.
And because of that, I think that it did really well. And based on its box office, I think that the American people and the rest of the people in the world liked it a lot more than you and Roger Ebert as well.
I mean, obviously, because the box office numbers don't lie.
Of course, it's literally impossible. It's not like you can slap, a certain production company or actors in something and it turns it from a bad movie into a super solid movie.
Yeah, that's
that
not
everybody
a thing.
goes to see. That's never happened in the history of cinema.
No, never. That's not a thing. What are you talking about, Bailey? Come on.
But the main thing I want to talk about in this movie is the kills.
Do you want to do them in order?
Um,
Of like the order that they happened?
I think the order that we're supposed to think they happened would be best.
Okay, that'll work.
So the first kill that I want to talk about is Harold, which this happens right after the beginning of the movie, because the beginning of the first few Friday the 13th movies, other than the original obviously, is the last 5 to 10 minutes of the previous movie. So after the ending of part 2 played, it started out in this housing area with Harold and Edna, which were a married couple. And Harold dies a pretty typical death. He gets a butcher knife shoved into his sternum, typical hack and slash style.
Right.
And then a few minutes later, while Edna is trying to investigate his death, she gets the good old grab and stab through the door. So Jason basically reaches his arm through the window in a door, holds her, and then stabs her through the door.
So kind of an uncool Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, there are similar kills in Nightmare on Elm Street. There are also similar kills in previous Friday the 13th, and that kill almost happens exactly the same again later in this movie.
Oh yeah, it does. We'll get to that when the time comes.
Exactly.
I forgot about that, but yeah, you are correct.
After that, the next kill is about 30-ish minutes later.
There is a long time between the first kills and the second. I will admit that, and that also kind of brought it down for me a little bit.
So the reason that is mostly for quote unquote plot elements, and it's not that long in other Friday the 13th movies. And the reason that there was such a long lull in kills in this one, and lull in action, if you will, is because they wanted to show off their technology of the 3D.
Okay, that makes sense to me, because I was wondering why. But I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I watched all the bonus features, and that's something they kind of hinted at, was that part of the reason that there's like a lull where it's kind of quote unquote boring is because they wanted to show off the limitations of their 3D.
Which they did, and the one that stands out to me the most is the yo-yo scene.
See, I didn't mind the yo-yo. I really like the juggling scene.
So there's the juggling scene, which I didn't mind. The yo-yo scene felt too long.
I felt that.
It was, oh, calm down, stop it, Brad, which isn't even his name, but
No, it's Andy.
it's Andy. He's horny teenager number 2,
That's fair. Who's number 1?
his girlfriend.
Oh.
Because she says, and I quote, "We can go swimming There's no one around. We can do anything you want.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's similar to what you said,
yeah.
for sure.
And he doesn't do that. So I'm like, okay, so there's your typical stereotypical slasher of the. I mean, I think the first time that we get introduced to him, the main girl, or the final girl, as I'll call her, says Chrissy. It says you guys have been, you guys are so boring. It's just sex, sex, sex with you.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh, horny couple. They're gonna die first.
which was incorrect.
Super incorrect. Was a little upset about that.
So the first group of people to die once we meet the main cast of this film are the
The bikers,
the bikers. Yes.
which also made 0 sense.
Well, the way that they joined the fold was Shelley and Vera go in a car, which is Rick's car, to a convenience store to pick up some stuff. And as they're backing out, he hits their car.
Hits their motorcycles.
Hits their bikes. I apologize.
Yeah. And topples him over, which starts a chain of events of the biker guy using a chain to break the window, and then Shelley, getting his inner courage because he wants to impress this girl, and he then runs over the dude's bike, which makes it inoperable, and then drives off. And somehow these people find him and follow him. They were literally just there to die. But anyway, let's talk about their deaths.
So the way that their death starts is Fox, which is one of the bikers, goes into the barn, and she's, doing her thing in there. And as Loco's coming up, you can see her swinging along the thing that they use to lift the hay bales up to the top floor.
The pulley.
Yeah, the pulley system.
Yeah.
And then she disappears as Loco's walking in. And when he gets to the top, he finds out that she's been, murdered in one of the few off-screen deaths in this movie.
Oh, I do want to interject real quick and just say that whole scene where she's swinging, foreshadowing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I did like about that. But anyway.
But so she's dead. She's got a pitchfork through her neck, and she's stuck to a pillar, or not a pillar, but like a support beam inside of the barn. And then as Loco sees her, Jason sees him, and he stabs Loco in the stomach with a pitchfork, which prompts Ollie to come looking for his friends Fox and Loco. And as he walks in, Loco rolls off or falls off the top floor onto him. And as Allie's getting up, he sees Jason, and then he sees the machete, and he goes for the machete to defend himself.
Which is Jason's signature machete. I would like to throw that in there.
Yes.
This is how he gives it. There's the origin story of the machete.
Yeah, which is super cool. Like, that's another reason why I think this is an important film, especially in the Friday the 13th series. Well, beyond just the 3D aspect, which is super cool.
I mean, I'm going to disagree with you on the 3D aspect, but I do think that you are correct, this is a landmark one, because this is where he gets his machete and his mask. This is where Jason becomes Jason.
Exactly. Prior to this, it's Mrs. Voorhees, and then it's, just
Jason with the bag.
Yeah, and now in this one, it's when it's hockey mask Jason that we all know and love.
Mm-hmm.
But, so Ollie picks up the machete, he's coming at Jason, and obviously Jason wins. And off screen, you can see Jason lift like a blunt object and hit Ollie in the head 3 times, or what appears to be the head.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, off screen, you can't really see it. You can't see how he's hitting him. It never shows the body.
Right.
Which is additional foreshadowing.
Because we've seen every kill, even if it's been off screen, we have
seen
confirmed.
The body. Exactly. And then the next kill is also off screen, or the next the next individual we're supposed to believe was killed was also off screen, and it was Shelley.
So real quick, can we talk about his character? Cause
of course, Shelley, in my opinion, is one of my favorite characters in this, but that's just because it's very relatable to me personally. Because he tries to be a comedian, he's a little bit overweight, he doesn't have a high self-esteem, but he still tries.
Which was fine, but I feel like even the first interaction that we have with him is recreating, from what I can only assume would be a Halloween kill. And even after that, he has this mask on and is about to meet the girl who got tricked, Vera. And he says, what does he say? because his buddy Andy says, "Are you going to keep the mask on?"
And he was like, "Wouldn't you if you looked like me?"
Right, and that kind of set the whole tone up. So I don't like that he was the punching bag throughout the whole thing. That stereotypical fat nerd kid.
Exactly, which, that was very tropey at the time.
Right.
Which, while we're speaking about his character, additional information about it from an interview that he did about 25 years after the movie was released. He said that he was trying to convince the writers to change it to where he, like, ended up getting the girl. And the writers were like, no, that's unrealistic because, look at you.
Right, you're fat and ugly.
Yeah. And the actor was like, well, I guess it, makes more sense for audiences that the killer would come back to life than the fat guy would get the girl.
Which is pretty fucking good.
It's so funny. It's very dark, but it's so funny.
Right. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And because you got this on the DVD commentary that I did not know about.
Yeah. No,
because I paid $3.99 for it on Amazon.
I watched about 30 minutes of extra, like, information about it on the DVD commentary.
You have way more knowledge about this than I do.
It's really fun. I really like all the Friday the 13th movies. I have, like, extra commentary for all of them because I have, like, a collector's edition box set.
Oh, yeah. I remember you took a picture of that and sent it to me.
Yeah.
Forgot all about that.
So,
okay.
Because of that, like, I've watched all of the extra content for the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, and the fifth one. I haven't gotten past that with the extra content yet.
Well, there's a lot of extra content.
Yeah, I'm getting really spun up on my Friday the 13th lore.
All right, Friday the 13th guru. Anyway, so Shelley's kill.
Yes. So, once again, Shelley has an off-screen kill that's just implied. Basically, the reason that it's implied is because he comes to scare Vera after she rejects him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's wearing a hockey mask, which, keep in mind that at the time that this was released, the hockey mask wasn't associated with Jason yet.
But it will be after this.
Exactly. So he scares Vera.
Isn't he, like, in the water?
Yeah, so what happens is she's sitting on the the dock with her legs dangling, and he goes and, like, grabs her leg.
Yeah,
and
okay,
then
yeah,
she jumps up. Yeah. So he scares her, comes out with the hockey mask on, and she's basically like, oh, that's not cool. You should leave me alone. And he walks off screen. And then a few minutes later, it shows her, like, down by the water. She drops his wallet in. And after she drops his wallet in, she's, like, trying to get it. And then it shows an individual wearing the hockey mask, which we all know is Jason.
I mean, yeah, at the time you could make the argument that it might not be Jason, but it's obvious.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
Exactly. And she immediately says, oh, hey, I dropped your wallet in, because she thinks it's Shelley. And then she notices the size difference because Jason is a very large man in this one.
He's no Kane Hodder, though.
No, this Jason is played by Richard Booker, and I think he did a good job. I think that the stunts in this one, like, because he did his own stunts.
Right.
Where, they weren't drastic, but, that's still pretty cool.
Like jumping out of the way of a moving van.
Exactly.
Right.
But, so he comes back with the hockey mask that Shelley just had, indicating that he took it from Shelley somehow. We don't see what happens to Shelley. And he just very casually, nonchalantly, very chilly, like, strolls onto the dock. And Vera's yelling at him, like, who are you? What are you doing? In a very, like, clearly she's scared and confused. And then he pulls out a harpoon gun. Well, so the thing is, it's kind of confusing to me because it looks like an arrow that goes into her eye, but there's not the, cross from a crossbow.
Right.
So I don't know if it's supposed to be like a harpoon gun or a crossbow. I don't actually know.
I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a harpoon gun just because of the way that he holds it.
Right.
It looks like a harpoon gun because it doesn't have the, so the crossbow would have the
side pieces.
Yeah, it would have and it doesn't have that. It's just straight, like you would cock it.
Yeah.
And shoot, and it's also by the dock that he finds it.
Right. So, I mean, a harpoon gun would make kind of sense, although Camp Crystal Lake is set in New Jersey, and I don't know if they have, need for harpoons there.
I mean, you might want to harpoon the whales that are in New Jersey.
At the lake?
Yes.
Are there well lakes?
Okay, so...
Lakes and wells?
So real life, know...
No, yeah, I'm genuinely curious.
Well, no, because, genuinely curious, where we live, there was that 9 foot alligator that was found in the lake. Do you remember hearing about that?
Yeah, there's justice for him tomorrow.
I don't
There's
understand that.
there's a meeting in Claremore where that happened.
Oh, so here's your fun fact about that. Did you know that alligators are really cool?
Are they? They
Okay,
aren't hot.
no. So Jesus. So I'm not afraid of alligators.
No.
So when we went to Louisiana, we went canoeing
Okay.
or kayaking. It was kayaking, and you can walk up or roll up, I guess, to the alligators that are there, and you can pet them, and they won't do a thing. Like they are the coolest things in the world. Alligators just do not care. But you know what does care?
Crocodiles.
Fucking crocodiles. Okay, in Australia, you have to have your boat at a certain height because they will just jump in. Crocodiles do not care. They will literally, if it is your boat or your canoe or whatever is down low enough, they will just jump in and try to kill you because crocodiles do not care.
I wonder.
Alligators are your friends.
I wonder if they're mountable.
No, they probably mount you.
Well, so you've heard about Florida Man, right?
Yeah.
You know what they do to alligators in Florida, right?
Oh yeah, they had to put a sign up.
Yeah.
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 Well, that's because alligators are cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
alligators are cool, and they're like, yeah, man, if you want to do that, go ahead. You know what a crocodile does? Crocodile goes Jason Voorhees on. He doesn't even say anything, just rips you in half.
Exactly. But so Vera's kill, he walks up, crossbow gun, super nonchalant, potentially a harpoon gun,
Definitely a harpoon gun.
and he shoots her in the eye.
I'm gonna
And
Google it.
that's okay,
I'm gonna Google it while you do it.
of course. So he shoots her in the eye, and it's like the coolest kill in the world. In my opinion, I know a few weeks ago we did our like top 5 favorite kills, and I'm pretty confident this was my top one, because the reason I like it so much is the way Jason walks up. You can just see like he's super nonchalant and he's super just like badass looking, and the whole time Vera's like, "Don't do that. What are you doing?" And he's just like, he don't give a fuck, and it's beautiful.
Spear gun.
A spear gun.
The technical term for it is a spear gun.
Okay. It just looks like an arrow. That's why I was calling it like a crossbow.
Well, I thought it was a harpoon, but it is according to the Friday the 13th wiki,
Okay.
it is
perfect.
called the spear gun.
Well, the spear gun kill is my favorite kill.
And it's my favorite kill too, because of the same thing that you said, the nonchalantness of him when he just goes and does it. I thought it was kind of funny. I think is why I liked it, because he just casually raises it and shoots her in 3D. It is a 3D moment.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But no, that was good. So that's my favorite kill out of all the, well, there's only one kill that beats it in Friday the 13th for me.
In all of them or this one?
In all of them. And this one is my favorite kill.
Okay. So in all of them it's the Jason X one, right?
Yeah, the body bag one.
Of course.
Yeah, that's just so funny to me.
It's that's a really fun kill too.
That kill is just utterly stupid. And I think and they knew it was,
Well,
but that's why they did it.
yeah, it's super fun.
But yeah, so in this one that is my favorite kill.
Understandable.
And then we'll get to my second and third favorite kills later on.
As we get to them. So the next kill that we see is Andy's kill, which if you don't know who Andy is, it's Andy and Debbie are the two, as Taylor puts them, the horny teens.
Yes, as you can tell, I didn't really get invested in the character names. I just went off of their tropes, and that was their name.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, essentially.
Like Rick, the 40-year-old man who hangs around teenagers for some weird reason.
But the way Andy dies is he just had sex with Debbie, which is obviously a no-go if you want to survive a horror movie.
Whoa. You gotta. So where did they have sex though? That's the important part.
They had hammocky sex.
Which they do make a really funny comment where she goes, so what do you think? Was it me, you, or the hammock? And he goes, oh, it was definitely me. And she goes, I think it was the hammock.
Exactly.
Yeah, she was funny. I liked her.
No, Debbie was like, I don't know. I think she was probably like the single funniest character other than Shelley.
I think she was better than Shelley because everything that Shelley did was kind of, it felt like weird and forced, you know?
I don't know. Shelley's fake out death with the axe thing was something that I could see myself doing someday.
Oh, you mean April Fools?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't do it like April Fool's way.
Right.
I would do it just like on a random Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Just like cover myself in fake blood and like lie in the middle of the living room floor.
And then have an axe to the face.
Yeah, knowing my roommates are about to get home. Strip myself naked so they think it's real.
Okay. I don't. Okay.
Yeah, it'd be real fun, real dark.
Well, I don't know why you have to be naked for it. Why does that make it real?
Because that means I was like in the shower doing my thing and someone just came in and ganked me.
You'd have to be wet.
I would be wet with blood.
You gotta be like wet with water.
I would be wet with blood.
It's not how a shower works, Bailey.
Right, but I could have been dead for hours. You don't know. I'll leave the door open.
Well, you'd still have that water smell
I don't know. I don't know if that's how it works.
as it seeps in. If you or someone you know is a mortician, please call the number below and let us know if this is really how it works.
Do we have a number?
I mean, I'll give my cell phone number out.
You won't.
Really?
You won't.
918.
Don't do it. I'm just kidding. We're going to have to bleep that.
No, we don't have to bleep it.
But so the next kill is Andy's kill, and he goes to see Debbie in the shower, and he's asking if she wants a beer, and he's doing like a handstand thing to kind of scare her. And as he's walking out of the shower door, he gets outside, he closes it, or the bathroom door. I guess it's not the shower door.
Well, and she doesn't. She closes it. He does not.
Oh, does he not?
No, because one thing that I had a problem with this scene
Okay.
is he leaves the door open, and then instead of just doing what I think a normal person would do and get out and quickly close it, she like gets out and puts on a robe and then walks over there and kind of looks at it and sighs and then shuts it and then disrobes and gets back in the shower. And I'm like, that is so much work. Why don't you just run out, butt ass naked and wet like most people would do and just quickly close it?
I mean,
That's what I would
think
do.
that's probably because of like they didn't want to get all of that on video.
I mean,
Because
it
you
would've
can
been way
kind of see
quicker.
her like breasts at one point, but
you can see them.
yeah, but it doesn't like super focus on them like it does in some movies. And I think that the reason why is because they just didn't want more nudity.
No, they wanted more 3D.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of Friday the 13th movies, they choose nudity, but in this one they chose 3D.
Which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
I'm okay with.
But the next kill,
Which is Andy. This is my third favorite kill, by the way.
so he's doing a handstand. He's walking outside of the bathroom, and then Jason just like slashes him, and it's like gets him in like the taint, ball sack, asshole region.
Oh, he like splits him.
Yeah, just like
He does the
splits him.
permanent splits.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. It doesn't show it like super graphically, but it shows enough for you to like know what happens.
And you can hear it.
Exactly. And then the next kill is Debbie's death, actually. And what happens is she gets out, she goes and she lays down, and she's reading a magazine, I think.
Yes.
And she gets like there's dripping from the ceiling, so she looks up, and you can see Andy like folded in the rafter, and you can see like huge chunks where his like legs were split, and you can see his legs like behind his head, and it's so funny. Like the way he's positioned up there had me laughing.
Yeah, he's like the people that put themselves in boxes, those tiny boxes. That was how he was positioned.
Exactly. Only you could see huge chunks of his like.
You could see his insides.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But then blood starts dripping, and she looks up and sees it. And then this is another super typical Friday the 13th kill. The first time it happened in the series was Kevin Bacon's death in the original. But a hand goes to her forehead, and then a knife goes up through her neck. This doesn't have very much blood or anything, which is why it's inferior to the Kevin Bacon one, because with the Kevin Bacon kill, it had Tom Savini underneath with a pump, and it was goat's blood, and they ran out of, like, the pump stopped working, so he had to blow it out with his mouth.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Tom Savini is just great.
Yeah, he's one of the best special effects dudes probably ever.
I think he is the best special effects dude because he just everything. I loved everything.
So I don't have enough knowledge to like definitively say that he's the best, but out of the ones I know, he's definitely in my top 5.
I mean,
Probably top 2.
The reason I say he's the best is because he was in From Dusk Till Dawn.
That's fair, which is also solid.
Yes.
So after, Debbie's death, which is just, a cheap ripoff of,
It was Kevin Bacon too.
yeah, it is just a cheap ripoff of Kevin Bacon's death. And this is where we actually see Shelley's quote unquote death, because he bursts through the door and Chili's in there, which is, as Taylor would put it, female pothead.
Yeah, it's not female pothead. It's young female stoner that is with the old male stoner who is not as old as Rick.
Fair enough. But this is where we see Shelley's death, because he bangs on the door, Chili opens it, and his throat's slashed, and he comes in and she thinks he's faking. Because as we mentioned earlier, Shelley has already faked his death once in the movie to scare people.
Right. Well, and he also does a lot of dumb prank things. So
Exactly. So this is where we actually see Shelley's death. And then and then Chili walks away
yes,
and gets fire pokered.
which is my fourth favorite.
See, I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of the fire poker kill, because it seems like, I don't know. It's kind of like Debbie's kill in this one. I don't know that I've seen it prior to this, but it doesn't feel like super original.
So I think the thing that I like about it is the tip was hot. So it kind of just, the way that I imagine it is it just, the heat sliced through her. And there's tons of ways that you can do the fire poker. You can do it through the eye, through the throat, or whatever. But this was, straight through the midsection, blazing, going through. And then I think that it kind of cauterized the wound also. So then it gets stuck. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's better than your typical just, oh, fire poker. Haha, through the butt.
I mean, that's fair. And then the next death is Chuck's death, which Chuck is down in the basement trying to fix the lighting. Chili sent him because the lights were, or did they just go off, or did they flicker?
They flickered. They were having issues with it.
So Chili sends Chuck, which is an older male stoner.
Who is not as old as Rick.
Yes, still younger than Rick. And he goes to check it, and Jason's obviously there doing his thing, and he pushes, punches, throws Chuck into the electrical fuse box, which makes it start like going off, and then you can see the electrical lights flashing, and you can see it smoking, and if you've got a vivid enough imagination, you can kind of smell the stank.
Basically, he was bludgeocuted.
Yeah, exactly.
That he was bludgeocuted.
Exactly.
That's all I thought when I saw the scene.
Well, I didn't like this death very much. Like, it seems once again kind of typical. It reminds me, this is before Lost Boys, but it kind of reminds me of the Lost Boys kill where they throw the radio into the garlic tub.
Yes, but that one was better.
I agree that one was better, but they both, in my mind, I feel them the same way.
This one didn't really have a lot of good kills.
I don't know. I think that the Andy kill was really good. I really like the Rick kill, which is the next kill we're going to talk about.
So that's my second favorite.
So there's actually two things I want to talk about in regards to the Rick kill. So I really like the camera angle that it was shot at, because the way it works is Chrissy walks outside the front door, and you can see Rick behind the corner of that same building with Jason kind of covering his mouth.
Right.
And you can see that she can't see because of where the corner is, but it's almost like a wide frame shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I thought that this was my favorite, just single shot in the movie. I thought it was done really well. And then you see Jason squeeze Rick's head and his eyes pop out.
In 3D.
In 3D, and it's so cool.
It's kind of funny. It's good props. The 3D wasn't really necessary, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think this was good, just practical effect.
Except for the 3D eyeball that comes at you.
It's fine. I feel like you gotta just let it be.
I mean, you're right. I think my big problem was the 3D. If it didn't have the 3D, the kills could have been a lot cooler.
I agree, but I also think this wouldn't have done as well as it did without the 3D.
I mean, yeah, I can see that.
So the next kill we have is Ollie's official death. If you don't remember, he's the biker.
Who got bludgeoned.
Yeah, so we never saw his body, and in typical Friday the 13th fashion, if it doesn't confirm for you for sure that they're dead, they might not be actually
Well,
dead.
they definitely are not dead.
Well, yeah. At this point in the series, they're definitely not dead.
Right.
So he comes back to life, or never died, and he comes at Jason, and obviously, Jason won the first time. He's going to win again, so he chops off Ollie's hand and, basically kills Ollie again.
Right.
And
But for
then-
real this time.
Exactly. And then the fight between Chrissy, which is the final girl, and Jason continues. And she ends up hitting him, or she ends up hanging him
From the
from the same rope that Fox was swinging on earlier.
biker girl number 1.
Yeah.
That was a cool death.
That wasn't really a death because immediately Jason's fine.
I mean, it should have been a death.
Jason's immortal.
Jason, well, we don't know that.
He's essentially immortal. So then the next quote unquote death is when Chrissy hits Jason in the head with an axe.
Where she's like, "Can I ask you a question?"
Ooh. That's good.
Yeah, that's all I can think of is, "Can I ask you a question, bitch?" And then boom, right in the face.
Yeah, no, that was, and that's what it was. And so this is where something really interesting happens, because this is the climax. This is the end of the film. So there were 3 different endings for this. There were 2 that were shot and 3 that were written. So I'm going to start off with the ending that we've all seen. And it's the one where Mrs. Voorhees, which is a throwback to the original, jumps out of the water, pulls her in, she wakes up.
Yeah, that whole thing was a nod. That was a ripoff of the original.
Yeah. And in this ending, she also sees Jason up in the window.
Yes.
And then he runs down and spooks her. And then she also, she's like, oh, wait, no, that wasn't real. And then the first ending, the original ending that this was supposed to have, was the first ending is Jason, instead of getting just axed to the face, gets decapitated.
That would have been a lot cooler.
And the reason that Paramount decided not to go with that ending is because they're the ones who made them scrap it, is they said it's too quote unquote definitive and they wanted to do more sequels.
Oh, so they were money hungry.
And then, so that ending was never shot. So then the second ending that was shot was when she looks up to the house, she sees Rick instead of Jason. And then she goes and it shows like a parallel of her running and Rick running to the door while Rick's inside the house and she's outside the house. And she opens the door and instead of Rick being there standing for her waiting, it's Jason. And he decapitates her. And then she wakes up. And this ending was shot. I tried to find it online but couldn't find it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But, it was shot. Another really interesting thing about this movie is it was in theaters and, around the same time as E.T., and it was still the top grossing movie for its first 2 weeks, and it's the most successful Friday the 13th sequel, unless you count Freddy vs. Jason.
I can't believe that it did better than E.T.
Yeah, did better than E.T. It was the top movie for its first 2 weeks.
That one does amaze me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to keep in mind that everybody cares about Jason.
Right.
I don't even know if E.T. doesn't have like 10 sequels.
I mean, no, but it's got a really bad video game that was put in the desert.
Right. Friday the 13th has so many bad video games.
We'll talk about those. We will talk about those. Do not worry.
And that's about all I have for this movie.
Yeah, there really wasn't much to the movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's a typical slasher, so.
Exactly.
And then what would you say recommendations? Because obviously my recommendation is going to be for video games, which you can play the original NES Friday the 13th game.
Yeah, you can do that on emulators online.
Or if you wanted the superior one, go play the one from
16, I think.
2016, yeah. Which they took off. I mean, no, they didn't take it offline. Like, it's still up. You just you can't update the game anymore. And it did have some really bad glitches. But that's a really fun game because you get to play in the house that these people were staying at.
Yeah.
And then you also get to play in the campsite. So that's like really, really fun. I really enjoyed that game.
I feel that. So my recommendations is pretty much any slasher. If I feel like this is a campy slasher, so instead of recommending like Halloween, I would recommend just like other Friday the 13th. I would recommend Nightmare on Elm Street.
Literally all the Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I would recommend like Nightmare on Elm Street. I would kind of recommend like maybe like Maniac Cop
I
because
haven't seen that one, so I will.
so
I
it's
cannot
a
vouch for that.
it's a 3 movie series. I think they're all on Shudder. I know they used to be, but they're just like another super silly slasher.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of other like woodland slashers.
I mean, really, just slashers in general.
Yeah,
Like,
they all have the same vibe.
all slashers except for Scream
And other meta slashers like X.
or Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
But I mean, basically any other slasher. So if you like the big names of the slashers, you'll probably like it. And it's also a sequel. So if you liked any of the originals, then yeah, check out the sequels. They get progressively worse.
I mean, after 3, I think it kind of goes downhill. But 3 was good. I liked Jason X a lot, and I liked Freddy vs. Jason a lot.
The one that I hate the most is Jason Goes to Hell.
So I really like Jason Goes to Hell because it has the copycat killer who gets possessed after he eats Jason's heart.
Oh yeah, that was really bad.
That was so fun.
It's okay. We'll talk about that when we review all the sequels.
Absolutely.
Every Friday the 13th, you will get a Friday the 13th.
In the perfect world.
Yes, that will happen. We're gonna do that. And it's been recorded.
Awesome. I'm definitely down for that.
And so I guess now that leads us into some really, really cool fun time called Bailey's Babbles.
So, because it's Friday the 13th, I feel like there's a lot of different things we could do for Bailey's Babble today. But I'm going to stick with tradition. So, how many of the Friday the 13th would you say you've seen and are familiar
All
with?
of them.
Are familiar with.
All of them. But here's the problem, they all run together.
That's where I'm at. So you said earlier that your favorite Friday the 13th kill of all time is the body bags kill.
And I believe it was Jason X.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a simulation that is being shown to Jason during that by the AI.
Yes, with the topless girls trying to seduce him, and then he just zips them up in body bags and just obliterates them. That was funny.
Yeah. So because we've discussed that, my next question is, what is your favorite other slasher series? Like, not Friday the 13th, but like what other series? Or it doesn't necessarily have to be slashers. I guess it could be like The Conjuring. What's another series of movies that you think is good? Because
I mean, you have the classic ones like I do, and I don't really like series is the problem.
so there's no like full series you've seen where you can say, oh, up until this point it was all super solid.
Oh no, I can. So the first Halloween, that's it.
Right.
The first Halloween. The first 3 Nightmare on Elm Streets.
What happened after the first 3 Nightmare on Elm Streets that lowered your opinion?
Well, I don't really like 2.
2 doesn't feel right because it's not like a direct continuation like the
1 and
others are.
3.
Yeah.
And it just kind of it runs into the same problem that I have with series in general, I guess is what I'll say. You run out of ideas. Like when a show goes on for too long, I think that a show should only last 4 or 5 seasons, and once you've hit that, you have run out of ideas. So if you go any longer than that, it just becomes dumb.
Well, so I intermediately agree and disagree.
Mhm.
Intermittently. Sometimes I sometimes agree and sometimes disagree. It just depends. Because like Breaking Bad ended perfectly.
Well, it was 5 seasons, right?
Right. But then like shows like Supernatural, it was originally scheduled to be like 5 or 6 seasons and probably should have ended there. And then they had a couple seasons that were really, really bad. But they've picked it up. Like there are there are good seasons of Supernatural after the show clearly should have ended.
Yeah, but that one's kind of a cop out because you have the same basic idea of any mythological thing, any supernatural type thing that we can think of, we can make it into a show and then just add some storyline between Sam and Dean doing something stupid, and then boom, you have an episode. Like it's the same formula used over and over and over again, and it becomes boring.
I mean, that's fair.
That's what I don't like about it, is because it was like Scooby Doo, right?
Okay.
Great cartoon. I love Scooby Doo, but it follows the same basic formula every single time, so you know what to expect. As a kid, you don't, because you don't think of stuff like that. But if you watch it as an adult, same basic formula. And when a show goes for too long, it gets sucked into a formula, even with Game of Thrones.
Well, so Game of Thrones' issue was they got past George R.R. Martin and they got bored with it and had to determine the story for themselves, and they were already tired of doing it, and they didn't have source material to work from.
Exactly, because it went on too long.
Well, no, because the books were supposed to end there. Like, had George R.R. Martin finished the books and they base it off of the books, I think that it wouldn't have ended poorly. I think the reason Game of Thrones ended poorly is because they got too far ahead of the books.
Right.
And were trying to rush it because they wanted to move on to other projects.
Well, and I think that they should have consulted with him more. I mean, there's a myriad of things I think that they should have quit. There were some seasons that were really boring and things that didn't really make sense. But, I mean, as far as slashers go, the first two Screams, I guess. After two, it kind of becomes stupid because they're using the same thing repeatedly.
I don't know. I like 3.
Yeah, 3 was okay.
4 was like the first like reboot almost of Scream,
which I didn't like.
I didn't like it, but I like the newest Scream, Scream 5.
Yeah.
I thought Scream 5 was good. I thought it was better than 4.
Yeah, so it was better than 4, but it's probably 1, 2, 5, 3, 4.
Same.
Child's Play.
I like Child's Play.
I like up until, what is it, Bride?
Okay, so this is going to be controversial. I like all of the Child's Play movies, even after like Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, Cult of Chucky. I love them all.
Oh, dear Lord, okay.
And that might be because, I'm pretty sure we mentioned this in a previous episode. I think Jennifer Tilly's amazing.
Yes, you really... I think it was a classic horror story where you said Jennifer Tilly if you're listening to this.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But I've had like a boy crush on her my entire life.
Jennifer Tilly, if you are listening to this, make Bailey's dreams come true. I will give you my phone number and you can call me and make his dreams come true.
But so for me, like, I would say that my top 2 favorite series, like indisputably, would probably be Nightmare on Elm Street and Child's Play, followed very closely by Friday the 13th in horror. I also liked Breaking Bad a lot. I liked Gotham a lot up until like 2 seasons until the end. Which that's not horror, but...
Well, even like Dexter.
So Dexter would have been so good had they not ended it the way they did. Have you seen the reboot at all?
No, because I don't want to watch something with Dexter. They should have ended it on season 4. Like season 4 of Dexter is where it should have ended.
I mean, that's fair.
That would have been the perfect end. 4 seasons into it, and I would look back on it like I do Breaking Bad and go, perfect amount.
I really wish they hadn't released El Camino for Breaking Bad because it confirmed how Breaking Bad ended, which I'm not going to say because I don't want to spoil it.
If you have not seen Breaking Bad by now, dear God,
you should go watch it.
Go watch it.
But yeah, El Camino kind of confirmed it, and I don't consider El Camino canon because of that.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. El Camino wasn't bad, though.
No, it was solid. It changed things in a way I wasn't happy about.
Right. I could see that. But yeah, I don't know. My all-time favorite, I guess, would be Halloween. I really like Michael Myers.
I mean, Michael Myers is cool.
But I don't really like the second Halloween.
So I didn't mind the second Halloween. It's like Season of the Witch is like... I know that it was intended to be an anthology, and the way they were handling Halloween the whole time was like that. That was how they planned on doing it.
Right. There wasn't supposed to be a Halloween number 2 that continued with Michael Myers.
But I wish that they had just done that. Like the anthology thing, like kind of messed up the Halloween series for me, and then the fact that there are 3 different timelines associated with it.
Oh well, yeah. Okay. I take that back. If you want to know my favorite, so it's no. Okay, yeah, I take that back. My favorite of all time is Hellraiser.
Hellraiser's
The
good.
first 3 Hellraisers. I've seen every single Hellraiser, and I can honestly say that the first 3 are great because Clive Barker wrote them, and then after that, it really falls off. But I really enjoyed those. So those are the first 3. But I really enjoy Michael Myers and everything. But I kind of like the remakes too of those, you know. And if they remade Hellraiser, I wouldn't be upset about that.
When you say the remakes, you mean like Rob Zombie's remakes?
No,
You mean like
the reboot,
okay.
which I guess the Rob Zombie remake wasn't bad. It was different. I mean, the second one was horrible, like real bad. Was that you?
Yeah, that was my stomach growling.
It's okay. We'll go get food after this.
Of course.
Yeah, I guess that would be it. I mean, I'm not really a big fan of series, you know, because I feel like there is that point
Where it starts dragging.
and it's just that episode could have been better. I think TV is a little bit easier to get away with.
No, it absolutely is, especially back before we had streaming services.
Yeah, streaming services now make it very difficult.
Because like if you have inconsistencies, if there are issues, people will be able to like quickly reference and notice. Whereas if it was like back when it was just on TV,
And you had to wait a week instead of having all 13 episodes at once.
exactly.
Yeah, streaming services are good and bad, but
No, I mean I love streaming. It's like
I do too.
it's like my thing, but I think that it's made TV and movies and everything significantly harder. I think it's made it easier to reach more people, but I think it's harder to be considered good. I think it was easier to be good 20 years ago before you had every option you could want.
Right. Okay, yeah, I can see that. So, but yeah, that's my opinion on that one. The Friday 13th series isn't bad. It stops being good after 4.
I mean, I can agree with that. Like, I think that there are still good ones, and there are definitely good kills. Like, Jason X was still a super solid one. I think Jason Takes Manhattan was still really good.
I mean, there were funny kills in it, but
I just remember when he was boxing that dude, or that dude was trying to box him, and Jason was just, like, standing there taking it in Manhattan.
that was pretty funny. Oh, so you wanted an example of a series that there wasn't a bad one? Evil Dead,
That's fair.
because Evil Dead ended with 3.
Well, I mean,
Well, I'm not counting the TV show, but if I counted the TV show, I would say even with the TV show, it's not bad.
from what I understand, Evil Dead 4 has recently come out under a different title.
Oh, you mean Doctor Strange in the madness of the multiverse?
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Oh,
I've heard it's Sam Raimi's.
oh, should that be our next movie? Should we like review Evil Dead 4?
I mean, if you want.
Ooh, might add that to the list.
Ooh.
I mean, we're gonna go see it anyway because I love. But yeah, Evil Dead is a good example. But Evil Dead also doesn't take itself seriously,
At all.
and I think that's why I like it so much. Is because Ash is just a phenomenal character,
Exactly.
and because like the first one takes itself super serious, and I like it as like a first introduction movie. You know,
Well, so, I mean, you know this. We know this. Probably our listeners know this. Evil Dead wasn't supposed to be a comedy.
right?
It just kind of was.
Yeah, Evil Dead was supposed to be a super serious movie, and then the remake, which isn't a remake but is a remake, but is more of a retelling of the first one, really solidified everything. Because there were moments in the first original movie that that would be considered funny, even though they weren't supposed to be.
Yeah.
So there was that. But yeah, Evil Dead. That would be that's the one where no matter what, there's not a bad Evil Dead.
And that's me for, the Child's Play / Chucky series. Because they're all fun.
Right. We'll disagree on that one. Because yeah, I think Bride of Chucky It's either Bride or Seed, one of those.
What happened? Because Seed is the one where he and Jennifer Tilly are already together, and they have like a kid. And Bride of Chucky is the one where Jennifer Tilly is like human for the first part, and then she's in a tub, and Chucky pushes the TV in it and transfers her soul to a doll.
Okay, so yeah, that's definitely Bride of Chucky. Seed of Chucky was okay, but you could really start telling it goes downhill.
So one thing that I really liked about Seed of Chucky is there's a part where like Chucky's masturbating and it like shows him beating his little like fucking doll dick.
His little doll wiener.
Yeah. And it's like the funniest thing in the world, especially when he comes, because like it's a fucking doll jacket off. I'm just like, all right.
Oh, good doll. Jesus Christ. Okay. Well, yeah. Do you have anything else for some Bailey's Babbles?
No, I don't think I do.
Well, what do you want to do next week?
You want to do Evil Dead 4?
You want to do that, or do you want to do a listener request?
So if we're doing a listener request, I would say that we probably should do Repo the Genetic Opera, because it's the first of the listener requests that have been made to me.
Was that the first? I thought Army of the Dead was the first one.
Army of the Dead came after Repo was recommended.
Okay.
I might have told you about Army of the Dead first, but Repo was recommended like the day we posted our first episodes.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that, or we can do Evil Dead 4. I don't know. I feel like Evil Dead 4 would be... I don't want to spoil anything.
That's fair.
Because I feel like a lot of people are going to watch that. So we'll do... yeah, we'll do Repo.
Oh, shit.
For the first one of the listener requests. So we'll start getting into the listener request and I guess trickle them in every once in a while.
Absolutely.
And if you have any requests, please get into the Facebook group, 2 Idiots, 1 Podcast.
Or feel free to message us if you have our personal numbers.
Yeah. Or if you have us on social media, go ahead and message us. Talk to me.
Exactly.
We don't have friends.
We're friendly, but we're not,
Yeah, I'm not going to be an asshole. Yeah, I'm not going to be like an asshole about it. If you have something, even if I don't like it, I will say you listen to me. Absolutely.
Exactly. Which we might not get to it in the near future, but I'm keeping a list of everything that's recommended.
And we're checking it twice.
Yeah, I am. I'm basically Santa.
He's going to find out which movies we like and which ones we don't.
Yeah, which movies are naughty and which are nice.
But yeah, we will do them in order unless you give us money.
Well,
if you if you give us money, I will bump your listener request to the top, and it'll be the next one that we do. Just throwing that out there.
Wow.
Totally kidding, by the way. There's something that I'll see like streamers do though.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen stuff like that.
Yeah, that was the joke for anybody that didn't catch that was, oh yeah, you want me to play your game? Give me money, and whoever gives me the most money, oh yeah, dude, I'll do that, absolutely.
Yeah, we're having a bidding war of which game I play today.
Yeah, which one do you want? Was it this one that you suggested, or the one that someone paid me $500 to do? Because I know which one I'm gonna do. So yeah, if you want to give me $500, I will be more than happy to cover whatever topic you want me to. Any movie.
And with that, I'm Bailey.
And I'm Taylor.
And this has been 2 Idiots, 1 Podcast. Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a nice and safe Friday the 13th, because we all know that Friday the 13th is the only time of year where Jason comes out. So remember, kids, if it's Friday the 13th, for the love of God, do not have sex ever.
Do not drink.
Do not get intoxicated by anything. Don't even smoke weed, okay?
Yeah. No drugs, alcohol, or sex today.
Yeah.
Don't say I'll be back. Don't go anywhere by yourself.
Never split up.
Yeah, don't split up.
What are the other horror movie tropes in that one? Don't go in the woods.
Yeah.
Just like avoid the woods.
If you see like a barn, if you hear something, don't go investigate.
Yeah. Well, what's the other stupid trope that they say? Oh, there's a good one. It's kind of like the I'll be back. It's the like the we did it. Or you know, like when they say, "Oh, I can't believe we," like when they when something
he always
happens.
comes back.
Yeah, when they say, "Oh, he's dead" or whatever, or "We did it," and then he comes back, or something bad happens.
Yeah. Double tap.
Double tap, always double tap.
Exactly. Zombieland taught us that.
Zombieland is love. Okay, we can actually end it this time.
Okay. This has been 2 Idiots, 1 Podcast. I'm Bailey.
And I'm Taylor.
Thank you so much for listening. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.